The art of living in uncertainty. You're trying to hold water in your hands and wondering why it always slips through your fingers. Have you ever felt that you are running a race toward a horizon that is always moving away? You plan, you struggle, you build solid ground under your feet only to feel it shift like sand. We are taught to seek security, to find the one right path and hold on to it. But what if the path itself is not a solid line, but a flowing river? What if the very act of trying to secure yourself is the source of all your insecurity? You try to grasp the water and it slips through your fingers. You try to hold the future and you lose the present. This constant chase, isn't it exhausting? This deep-seated fear that you will miss the point, that you'll finally arrive, only to find nothing there. What if the point was never to arrive at all? You were taught that you are a noun, a fixed thing in a world of other things, a separate self peering out from behind your eyes, tasked with navigating a reality that is fundamentally alien. And so you began to calculate, to measure, to predict, to control. Your mind became a tireless architect, building blueprints for a future that does not exist. It draws maps of places no one has ever been. It creates elaborate defenses against imagined threats, all while the real world, in its fluid, unpredictable beauty, slips by completely unnoticed. You feel this deep need to manage it all, to keep every variable in its proper place. But this effort to impose order on a chaotic world, it is like trying to silence the wind by shouting at it. The very force of your resistance is what creates the storm you are trying to avoid. You are always looking ahead, trying to secure the next moment before this one has even passed. You live in a constant state of rehearsal, preparing for a performance that is never now. The past is a memory, the future a fantasy, and you reside in the space between them, a ghost, and you wonder why you feel so disconnected, so fundamentally out of sync with the rhythm of things. You have been told that life is a problem to be solved, a challenge to be overcome through sheer force of will. But what if it isn't a problem at all? What if it is a dance you have forgotten the steps to? If this resonates with something deep inside you, if you're tired of swimming against the current of your own life, stay with me. There's so much more we need to explore together. And if you want to keep discovering these hidden truths about the nature of existence, hit that subscribe button. Because what we're about to uncover next might change everything you think you know about yourself. You treat your own life as a project, something to be managed and improved upon. My life, you say, as if it were a possession, a thing you own and are therefore responsible for. This ownership creates a terrible anxiety, the fear of failing at your own existence. Look closely at the effort, the constant draining effort of holding on. You are like a person clenched in a fist, trying to protect a delicate flame from a phantom wind. But the tension of the fist is what suffocates the flame, not the wind itself. You believe your thoughts are you, that the voice narrating your experience is the center of your being. This voice is the one that worries, the one that plans, the one that judges you for not sticking to the plan. It is the voice that tells you that you are separate, alone, and in desperate need of control. But what if this voice is just noise, a pattern of energy like the sound of the rain? You don't try to control the rain, do you? You don't get angry at a cloud for being a cloud. You simply notice it. Perhaps you find shelter and you let it pass. So you build walls against uncertainty, brick by brick, with plans and predictions. But life is not a fortress. It is an open field, and the walls you build to keep danger out are the very same walls that lock you in, preventing you from ever truly living. This map you hold so tightly in your hand, this detailed guide to a predictable future, have you ever stopped to consider that it might be preventing you from seeing the landscape, that you are staring so intently at the paper that you miss the world it claims to represent? That map feels so safe, doesn't it? The lines are so clear, the destination marked with a star. You fold it neatly and place it in your pocket, feeling as if you've tamed the wilderness of time. You have a plan, you have a purpose, and for a moment, the anxiety subsides. But then you start walking, and you find that the landscape does not obey the map. A river has changed its course, a mountain has appeared where the paper promised a flat plain, and suddenly the map is no longer a guide. It is a tyrant, whispering that reality is wrong. You become so focused on the destination, the promised arrival at that distant star, that the journey itself becomes a chore, just a series of obstacles to be overcome. Every step is not a step to be felt, but a step to be counted and checked off. You travel through the most beautiful scenery, but your eyes are fixed on the path at your feet. ensuring you don't deviate from the prescribed line. The scent of pine, the warmth of the sun, the call of a distant bird, all are sacrificed for the sake of progress, for the promise of a future that will surely be better than this. And a subtle tension begins to grow, a fear of the unexpected, a resentment for detours. You are no longer dancing with life, you are marching through it. Your rhythm is no longer your own. It is the rigid metronomic beat of the plan, demanding that you stay on schedule at all costs. You start to believe that happiness is a place you arrive at, rather than a way you travel, a reward you receive for following the rules correctly. But the rules were written by ghosts, by people who were not you, living in a time that is not now, and still you follow them, afraid to draw your own map, panicked. Then, inevitably, the map is torn. A sudden storm, a washed-out bridge, an unexpected fork in the road. The plan shatters, and in that moment of chaos, you feel a surge of panic, of being utterly lost. But after the panic, something else emerges, a strange and terrifying sense of freedom. Because it is in those unplanned moments, in the detours and the happy accidents, that you discover things you never would have sought. A hidden waterfall, a quiet clearing, a new perspective. You find that the most meaningful parts of your life were never part of the original itinerary. So you are caught in this paradox. You exhaust the present moment in service of a future self who you hope will finally be able to relax and enjoy it. You treat the you of today as a slave to the you of tomorrow, a tyrant who is never satisfied, who always demands more progress, more efficiency. What would it feel like to put the map away, just for a moment, to lift your eyes from the paper and look around, to feel the texture of the ground beneath your feet, to admit that you don't know the way forward, and to simply take the next step without a destination? When you take that step without a destination, something strange begins to happen. The rigid marching rhythm in your chest starts to soften. You begin to notice the world is not made of straight lines. A river does not flow from source to sea in a perfect arrow. It meanders, it bends, it plays. Look at the coastline on a map, the branches of a tree, the patterns of frost on a window pane. It's all curves and spirals and zigzags. And yet, we build our lives in boxes. We draw straight roads and believe that the shortest path is always the best one, the most efficient one. But the universe doesn't work that way. The fundamental reality of everything is a vibration, a pulse, a kind of wiggle. From the waves of light that reach your eyes to the sound that enters your ears, it is all oscillating. Nothing is ever truly still. Everything is in a constant state of dance. You were taught to mistrust this quality in yourself, to sit still, to be serious, to stop fidgeting. Your natural, playful, wiggly energy was straightened out, pressed into a mold of good behavior and predictability. You were told that life is a serious business, not a game to be played. But think of music. The point of a song is not the final chord. If it were, the best composers would write only that. The point is the melody as it unfolds, the rhythm, the harmony, the silences in between. You cannot grasp music. You can only listen to it, and perhaps let it move you. This is the nature of things. You are not a statue carved in stone. You are a current of energy, just like everything else. And when you stop resisting, you can feel it. In the rise and fall of your own breath, in the steady, soft drum of your own heart. You spend so much energy trying to smooth out your edges, to present a version of yourself that is consistent and reliable. You worry about your contradictions, your messy emotions, your unpredictable thoughts. You see them as flaws in your design, errors that need to be corrected and erased. But what if these are not flaws at all? What if your inconsistencies are the very texture of your being, the unpredictable notes in your personal melody? Empathetic, you are not a problem to be solved. You are a process to be witnessed, a dance to be danced, a unique and unrepeatable wiggle in the fabric of space-time. And this is terrifying, isn't it? Because a straight line can be predicted, it can be controlled, but a wiggle, a dance, it is spontaneous, it is alive. To embrace it means to let go of the illusion of control, to trust the flow of the rhythm, even when you don't know where the next beat will take you. If all of existence, from the galaxies to the atoms, is a vibration, if nothing is ever truly solid or fixed, then what is this you that you are trying so hard to define and defend? Is it really the solid, unchanging thing you imagine it to be? Or is it too part of the magnificent, unpredictable, and ultimately unknowable dance? This question of you, it haunts you, doesn't it? You feel this tremendous pressure to define yourself, to find the right label, the right box to fit inside. I am this, I am not that. You build an identity out of words and memories, a fortress of certainty in a world of constant flux. Your mind has become a collector of answers, a storehouse of beliefs, opinions, and facts. You carry this weight around, this heavy collection of what I know, and you are proud of it. But this collection, this fortress, has no windows and no doors. Nothing new can get in. What if your mind was not a fortress, but a sky, vast, open, and clear? Thoughts, feelings, and sensations would arise and pass away like clouds on a summer day. You would not be the clouds, you would be the sky that holds them, unjudging, undisturbed, and fundamentally free. We confuse information with wisdom. We believe that by accumulating facts we can understand life, but you can dissect a bird to find out how it flies, and all you will be left with is a mess of feathers and bone. The flight itself, the living mystery, will be gone. True understanding is not about dissection, but about witnessing. The world demands that you have an opinion on everything, that you pick a side, that you have a 5-year plan. The simple words, "I don't know," have become a confession of failure. But what if they are actually a declaration of freedom, a release from the exhausting burden of having to be right all the time? When you can say, "I don't know who I am," you are no longer a prisoner of your own past. You are not obligated to be the same person you were yesterday. You are free to respond to this very moment, authentically and spontaneously, without consulting the script of your own identity. And here is the great secret. The moment you stop seeking the answer, you begin to find it. When you quiet the chattering mind that is always analyzing, you begin to hear a deeper intelligence, an intuition that doesn't speak in words, but in a simple, direct feeling of connection to what is. This is not a state of ignorance. It is a state of wonder. It is the ability to look at a tree and not just see the label tree, but to experience the living, breathing presence of it. It's a return to the beginner's mind, where the world is once again magical and new. When you truly don't know what will happen next, you are forced to pay attention to what is happening now. You are pulled out of the dead world of memory and fantasy and plunged into the vibrant, living present. Certainty is a dead end. It is the not knowing that keeps you alive and awake. And when there is no fixed you to protect, no rigid identity to defend, what is there to be afraid of? Change is no longer a threat to your definition of self. It is simply the natural unfolding of the dance, the constant, beautiful, and effortless transformation of one moment into the next. This dance from one moment to the next, this is it. This is the secret you were searching for. You have been looking for a solid ground in a world of water, seeking permanence in a universe that is defined by change. You wish for today's happiness to last forever, for the people you love to never leave. But this is like asking a wave to hold its form, to stand still as a monument in the ocean. The very life of the wave is in its rising and its falling. Its beauty is inseparable from its disappearance. To freeze it would be to kill it. And you, like the wave, are not a thing, but a happening. You were taught to think of your life as a journey toward a destination, a final resting place of peace and accomplishment. But that is not the nature of music, and it is not the nature of life. The purpose of a song is not to arrive at the end. The purpose of the song is to be sung. Every note, every rest is the point, and you are living in the middle of this song. You try to hold on to the high notes, the moments of joy, and you desperately try to avoid the low notes, the moments of pain. But this resistance is what creates the dissonance. The melody is beautiful precisely because it moves, because it contains both shadow and light. So you cling to pleasure, and by clinging you turn it into anxiety. The fear of losing it poisons the experience itself. What if you could let it come and let it go? Like breathing, you do not try to hold on to the in-breath. You trust that after you let it go, the next breath will come. And what of sorrow? You treat it as an intruder, an error in the symphony that must be silenced. But it is just another note, another color in the great pattern. Without the minor keys, there is no depth, no release. To accept your sorrow is not to be defeated by it. It is to finally hear the whole song. Every beginning contains its end. Every hello is haunted by the ghost of a future goodbye. You see this as a tragedy, but it is this very fleetingness that gives life its preciousness. You love the sunset precisely because you know it cannot and will not last. Peace is not the prize you win after a long struggle. It is not a permanent state of bliss you finally achieve. Peace is the gentle act of letting go of the struggle. It is the realization that you are not fighting the current. You are the current. The wave is not separate from the ocean. And when you know this, you can finally participate fully. You can love with your whole heart without fear of loss. You can feel pain without being broken by it. You can live not as a nervous traveler trying to reach a destination, but as a dancer, completely absorbed in the magnificent unfolding movement of now. To drop the map, to feel the wiggle, to rest in not knowing, this is simply to trust the music, to stop fighting the composition, and to finally, after all this time, allow yourself to be danced, to be played, to be lived. And so the search ends, not with an answer, but with the dissolution of the question. You were looking for a way to hold the river, but you have discovered you are the river. You were seeking the secret to the dance, but you have realized you are the dance itself. There was never anything to grasp, nothing to secure, nothing to solve. The constant effort of trying to control your life, of trying to swim against the current, you can simply let it go. Let the boat drift. Let the music play. Let the story write itself without your constant editing. You don't need to know the destination. You don't need to have a map. The art of living in uncertainty is not a technique to be learned. It is a trust to be fallen into. A quiet surrender to the beautiful, unpredictable, and ever-present now. This journey we just took together, it doesn't end here. It begins here. Every time you remember to put down the map, every moment you allow yourself to wiggle instead of walking in straight lines, you're practicing the art of living in uncertainty. If this stirred something in you, if you felt even a glimpse of that freedom we talked about, I want you to subscribe and become part of this exploration, because there are so many more layers to peel back, so many more dances to discover, and I'm curious, what does your personal dance look like? What map have you been holding too tightly? Share in the comments below. Not because I need your engagement, but because your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to begin their own beautiful surrender.